Hi all. Right, welcome back. D-Day at Saipan. This is part 27. I've been away for a few days. Work kind of mainly got in the way, and some other things. So yeah, I haven't had the chance. Um, I've got friends coming up tomorrow, but might get a little bit done today. Uh, yeah, not an awful lot to talk about. Although Martin picked up a few things from the last part, well, and part 25, which is something I'm going to have to address first. I forgot about the Japanese artillery phase. And then, yes, it happens on turn 2, turn 4, where are we? Turn 2 and turn 4, and then on every odd game turn thereafter. So it'll happen on this game turn as well. 5, 7, 9, 11, whatever it goes up to. So yeah, I did miss it at the end of turn 4. So clumsy me. So I'll need to deal with that. But let's just go over a couple of his comments. First one is talking about, this is from the latest part 26, where I'm a bit frustrated again about the wording regarding heroes. And to be honest, since then I've been sort of finishing off the rules, looking at them more closely, sort of from rule 10 onwards. Rule 11, raid attacks. 10 is the hero's headquarters and command. So reading into that a bit more, a couple of things came back to me that I'd maybe not sort of remembered. Raid attacks, rule 11. Wow, that looks... I remembered though, and it does remind you that there's a... Is it in the back of this setup display? That's an example of Japanese tank attacks on there, so I need to remember that's there. I'm sure that on one, yeah, here we go, raid check and resolution. That's on the back in the Japanese fire action summary. You might just see it there. So I'm going to have to, I'd like to have a good look at that, because that looks like it gives you some examples of how that works, because that looks pretty in depth, that. And then control and communication, okay, not so much a big issue. Went through the lettered actions and the tank units and their actions, and command posts and garrisons. Yeah, I finished off the rules, but there was quite a few things. Quite a few things that scratched my head a little about, and I think just the way some things are worded again as well. I should have maybe started taking note of them, but I didn't. But there's a couple that I'll spring to mind, I'm sure, and no doubt when I come across these things, I can mention them. However, yeah, it says once again it's overcomplicated even in Iwo Jima. Oh, sorry, it's overcomplicated. Even in Iwo Jima, they were able to make it more clear. It says, within Iwo Jima, I must be talking about, there it simply says, exception, only an officer or NCO hero may stand in for the CEC or the FL weapon requirements. Yeah, I mean, why not word it like that? Strange as well that I'm sure a lot of things have been copied and pasted from Iwo Jima, but just looks a bit of a muddle. It's not quite clear. He carries on, after all, the text says heroes count as one required weapon of your choice. Yeah, and I said this and I thought, well, surely that's any weapon, but you wouldn't expect flanking or CC. I wouldn't expect that. I mean, this is a new thing for us. It was obviously in Iwo Jima, but in the older games, you can never supply the weapon requirements for flanking or CC from a hero. I don't believe even in Pello you could. And then, so yeah, you would think it would carry it, but he carries on with, I don't understand why a rifleman hero wouldn't count as a flamethrower, like heroes do in all the other Pacific D-Day games, when he could count as he could count as NA, naval artillery, for example. And then he finishes that with, especially considering an abundance of flamethrowers in this game. And he's right. I mean, there's flamethrowers everywhere. They're part of the main companies. They're part of the battalion HQs. So why wouldn't they be part of a rifleman hero? And you know what? I'm pretty sure they are meant to be, but does it make it clear there that they have got flamethrower? No. In fact, does it not? Does it not sort of look at the other side? Where are we here? Yeah, here. A rifleman hero does not meet the... Oh, no, it actually does say a rifleman hero does not meet the requirements for flamethrower, flanking or CC. Yeah, sorry, my bad. I thought Martin was sort of just saying... I think I had maybe read it... Well, sorry, I hadn't read it like that, but I remembered it as it was unclear if they did carry the flamethrower, but that's not the case. But yeah, the wording on it's kind of a muddle. And possibly another question that we need to set aside to ask Joe. Just for clarification, we could probably guess our way through it, but even still, yeah, not great the way things are written. So his next comment was, I think the rules 7.1 indicate that as long as a unit is within the command range of its regimental HQ, it may act normally. Okay, he's got his timestamp. Sorry, I can't look at the 36-minute mark. I thought I recalled what I was talking about at that time. Hang on. Yeah, I tried to glance at what I was talking about there, but I just should have read on a bit. Yeah, so he carries on. I think the rules indicate that as long as a unit is within the command range of its regimental HQ, it may act normally. I assume this is true even if it's not in command of its battalion HQ, or if the battalion HQ itself isn't in command. Let me just process that. Yes, I understood that the first time I read that. I just had to read it there, and I was in this area talking about it. But I think what I was saying, and I get this, Martin, and yeah, I think I was aware of this, but I didn't talk about it properly, I suppose. We're saying, I think we've got an issue with this headquarters being out of command, isn't it? Because he's 3 hexes away from the regimental HQ. So we were saying we were having issues, and I was saying that all these units are going to be out of command. This guy will be able to move by himself, and anybody that was stacked with him, I think. Maybe not anybody, I think it's just rifle battalions. Yeah, all that bit's a wee bit complicated, I think. I think they could have made, well, whether they could have made it simpler or not. Maybe I'll get used to how it works. So my thinking was I need to move this back towards the regimental HQ. But this guy here is within 2 of the regimental HQ. And that's what Martin's saying there. Hang on. Right, sorry, where was I? Yeah, so what I'm saying is this is in command. Yeah, that's what I went to look back at Martin's post and then got that text message because I'm actually looking at this on my phone. Where are we? Yeah. So I think the rules indicate that as long as a unit is within the command range of its regimental HQ, it may act normally. I assume this is true even if it's not in command of its battalion HQ or if the battalion HQ itself isn't in command. That's what I'm talking about. You know, it's not in range of that. That's not in command. However, that company, that K company from the 3rd Battalion of the 23rd Regiment isn't in command from its battalion HQ, but it is within range of its regimental HQ. So that's good. He can actually get a free action. However, this guy here is 3 away from that, so isn't. Oh, and just while we're there, Martin, and I'll ask you this question again. I was looking through the rules again. Now, I know I spoke about this before. You brought up the question that you suddenly realised that up until game turn 4, the regimental HQs had a range of 1 hex, getting units adjacent, in their hex and adjacent, so a range of 1, and then come game turn 5, up to range of 2. Now, where does it say that? As in, where does it tell you the command range of the regimental HQ? Unless I'm avoiding some things with my eyes, it would surely be in Regimental HQ CP capabilities. So I've looked over this part again and again, and I cannot say where it tells you the range of the Regimental HQ. Now, the reason we realised it was one, I mean, up until game turn 4, it didn't matter this. But the reason we know it's a range of 1, it's because in step 4 of 7.1 free actions, it says units that are stacked with or adjacent to the Regimental HQ, they, at the start of the US action phase, they get a free turn. That's the only thing I can see where it tells you that the range is 1, right? And then the only bit that I can see where it says the range is 2 is when you move on to... Is it within? Hang on, wait till I find it. I read it last night. Yeah, here it is. On page 27. Now, I have to admit that I hadn't read this up until yesterday. Rule 15, command posts and garrisons. Because I knew it wasn't kicking in until turn 5. But Martin has obviously read through it all and processed everything, because I'm guessing this is where he got this from. And 15.2 talks about command range, okay? But we're kind of talking about command posts here, not the HQs themselves, it's when they've turned into it. But anyway, when a CP is established, it commands US units in its hex and any hexes within 2 hexes, and then it's got in brackets, the same as a Regimental HQ unit. And my question is, where does it tell you that the Regimental HQ has a command range of 2? Am I right in thinking that you've just read that from there, Martin? Because I know your question was a bit baffled by why the range had moved up. Just, why does it not tell you? I must be missing that, surely. It must be written somewhere that Regimental HQs have a command range of 1, and then once turn 5 kicks in, they then have a command range of 2. But I get the feeling it's maybe not as clear as that. So we're going to assume that's what it is, but where does it tell you? That I'm having to look at 7.1 for free actions to get its range there, and I'm sort of just putting 2 and 2 together, and then I have to look at 15 command posts to find out how the range goes up to 2. Don't you think it should be in the Regimental HQ CP capabilities? Right, I'm waiting for somebody to point it out to me in that section, and then I'm going to have to hold my hands up and say, okay, I've been foolish, but I can't see it. And yet, strangely, when you get to 10.3 about infantry battalion HQs, although it doesn't mention it's actually being a range, it says an undisrupted infantry battalion HQ provides command to any infantry unit belonging to its battalion and one other rifle infantry company from the same regiment, if those units are within 3 hexes of the HQ. So I mean, even there, you're having to hunt to find out. But it tells you 3 hexes, and do you think I could find it? I mean, it talks about not in command, is out of command. I guess this is where Martin was like, right at the beginning, was asking, he didn't, because he didn't understand what command was, because like, what's going on? We're not getting told things here. An HQ CP enables tank and artillery units in its command to conduct range fire. Not once does it tell you what its command is, what range it is. We know that a command post turns into some, and then you increase its range. Okay, that can vary, but before it turns into a command post, come on, tell us. Okay, right, you can tell me what it is, and then I'll stand down and come back and apologise. Okay, his next one was note that each division has 2 artillery markers. I eventually realised this when I was looking through the markers. We've got artillery points used. He obviously didn't see me talking about that. I did eventually realise that, and that enables you to put. Well, I think I spoke about it already, so I'll just stretch up there. I've got my phone plugged in though, so that enables you to set them for the day. Oh no, it's not for the day. Well, for that turn until they get any more. So yeah, if a new day started, they would get the same amount again. Where we've got 6 there. Is it a new day or is it a new turn? Surely you don't get 6 every turn. Right, hang on. Yeah, I get the feeling they last for the day, I think. Because the wee example there tells you the 2nd Marine Division receives 6 artillery points in game turn 3. The 2nd Marine Division would have a total of 6 artillery points to use for game turn 3 and game turn 4. On game turn 5, the player would reset the 2nd Division total artillery points to 6. And then on game turn 6, would add 8 additional points. On game turn 8, the 2nd would have a total of 14 artillery points to use on game turn 8 through game turn 10. Yeah, it looks like it's like... Yeah. Yeah, you get them, you reset them at the start of the day, I think. Yeah, okay. And I've got that, and use the artillery points. So that means you don't really move these, so it keeps track of how many you've had. And then if you get any more, like, I think, what does it say, game turn? Well, come game turn 6, we add an additional 8, so we'd put that from 6 up to 14, I think. Yeah, and I think the Martin kind of explains that. You use the marker to move down, so it shows you how many you've got left. Right, and then the last point, going a bit too far. He says, I believe the 2nd Regiment can be commanded by the 8th Regiment for the time being based on 10.2.1. And I hadn't looked at the rule, and then I remember realising what he was meaning here. Yeah, and it was the fact that we've landed these are from 2nd Regiment, 3rd Battalion, 2nd Regiment. Well, although their battalion HQ is there, why did I put him on his own? That was daft then, was it not? Why did I put him on his own? Oh, because they landed in that same... This one drifted, didn't it? Because I'm just thinking that this would have been able to command anything that was stacked with, wouldn't it? Oh, hang on. That's not even a beach landing hex, Grant. What's going on here? What have I done here? This must have landed with them, no? Of course, they would have landed and he must have moved in turn 4. Did it? Is that what happened? I'm not sure. Where are we right now? We're in turn 5, yeah, we'd done the landing and we were moving on to the HQ phase, that was it. Right, just to follow up with what Martin's meaning there, and let me get the rule then, 10.2.1. I think it means it can control another battalion, can't it? Alright, the 10.2.1 is just the capabilities of regimental HQ. Yeah, it says an HQCP commands all 3 battalions of its regiment. It may command 1 extra battalion from a different regiment of the same division. Yeah. A battalion not in command by its regiment is out of command unless... yeah, so... Yeah, what it's saying is we could command... They're both from the same division, this 8th Regimental HQ. They're both from the same division. He commands all his regiment, which is all... I got muddled up here. The 3 battalions of 8th Regiment. And then what he can do is he can control 1 other battalion. May command 1 extra battalion from a different regiment of the same division. So we could say that he controls, well, even these guys. These guys got their HQ? Oh, no, that HQ's not on as well. Yeah, they're from the same. That's what he's talking about. 2nd Regiment. These are 2nd Regiment, 2nd Battalion. These are 2nd Regiment, but from the 3rd Battalion. But this could pick up one of their battalions. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, okay. I'm not going to look at that. It's hurting my head, right, thinking about that just now. Right, anyway, thanks for your comments, Martin. And, yeah, artillery fire. Yeah, and the problem is we've landed some units as well, so this could get a little messy. Well, my hope is I draw a card and it doesn't have an artillery symbol in it. However, I get the feeling that it's quite rare not to have the artillery symbol. Let me just look at the discards that we've got there. 13. There's 14 cards in the discard pile and every one of them have the artillery symbol. So I think it tells you it must be a very rare chance of not getting one. We can keep our fingers crossed, I suppose. Now I know I'm going to be drawing this out of turn, and I hate doing that. I hate when that happens, but what else can I do? You know, I need to rewind everything, put all the cards back on top that were discarded, and you know, that's kind of silly. So we're just going to have to draw a card and deal with that. So, right, Japanese artillery fire. Right, so again, we haven't interfered with their artillery positions at all. So they still have the 7 positions. So we're going to get 7 hits. Well, let's draw a card and maybe we'll get lucky. So here we go. No, we won't. I'm saying that there's no... I mean, there must be some that don't have it on it. But as you can see, that's the 15th card in the trot now that has had the symbols. So we've got an orange circle and we're getting artillery fire. So let me push that out of the way and work out what it is we do here. So we've got 7 hits, haven't we? Total value is icons is the maximum number of hits. They don't have to be occupied. Yeah, the one that I need to remember is though, which I wasn't sure, and I think I asked the question, and I think Martin came back saying, say we have, right, where's an orange position that we've got control of, for instance? Right, there's maybe not any. There's one there. I'm saying orange again. Right, there's a yellow position that we've got control of, so we can't look at the fire from that. You know, we can't look from that field of fire and pick something from that. So one fire card is drawn. If the artillery symbol is shown on the card, which it is, Japanese artillery fire cards, the fire card applies to the entire map. When Japanese artillery attacks are conducted, targets for these attacks are chosen according to priority, listed below. Must be in the field of fire of a position that matches the fire colour on the artillery fire card. And then it's got the important bit, the position that matches the fire colour on the fire card may contain disrupted Japanese units. And I think that was, because that's what all it said, I think we had, the last time we had it, it was an empty position. And I kind of wondered if that still counted, but Martin sort of says no, that's not going to count, because you do need somebody. They're spotting for the artillery fire. So I think anything that's empty or we control, we're not going to consider. Whereas this one here is occupied, you know, and there's units in its field of fire. So during game turns 1 through 4, the unit is in or adjacent to a beach X. Well, remember we're rewinding a little bit here, so we are on game turn 4. If the target hits is intense, yeah, this is the question that we asked before about the priorities, isn't it? So I'm looking for, no, that wasn't that, was it? That was just general. Or was it? Yeah, we're looking for intense with a yellow intense fire with a circle. That's our priority. Then we're going to look for yellow intense fire that's not a circle. And then we're going to go to yellow steady fire with the circle. Then we're going to go to yellow steady fire without the circle. Well, actually, No, sure it doesn't hit if it's not got the symbol. Yeah, of course, this is one of the questions that we're all a bit muddled up with. What is the priorities? And this is one of the questions that we have put off to Joe just to get confirmation. But yeah, it's intense, but including concentrated targets. So we've got to check now. There might have been. Well, the only place I would have left the concentrated target would have been if the unit had been disrupted. But then that would have also been silly because I should have then known that at the end of game turn 4 they were all going to undisrupt. So, just looking down here and wondering, there's quite a big stack in there, isn't there? That's where I've got that hero though. So, let's hope not. So it's 1, 2. No, that's not overstacked. I don't. Or concentrated, or well, it's the same one and the same thing. Well, sort of. I don't think I did leave anything. I wonder a bit down there though. Again, I don't think so. I wouldn't have left it in this yellow, would I? It's just all, like I say, disruption markers. Oh, hang on though. That's 3 steps. That was that. Oh. Was that disrupt? Yeah, you took your eye off the ball there, Grant. I can't remember if that was in first and disrupted, and then we had, I think that's maybe how it was. Let me just double check if I can confirm that. I'm not sure if that other infantry company was disrupted or not. No, that company is okay. He just landed K324. Fortunately, I just seen the footage for that, so that one is okay. So I mean that looks alright as well. So I don't know. I don't really think I've got anything that's concentrated. Right. Okay. Let's look for yellow intense fire with circles. That's a priority. Okay. So I've got one in here in this hex. These are all in that hex. These 2 down the bottom were actually disrupted. So there's a circle in there. So that's an intense. So I'm just going to mark that. That's a priority. So I want to mark, if I can get 7 of them, then I don't need to look down the list, the next priority, So let me mark that with something. Okay, so there's one in there marked. There is one down there as well, a circle. I don't think yellow fires into there or there. No. So they're probably going to take a hit. Well, let me think. What was the next priority? Was it just... I've got that question up still. Yeah, it was just kind of left because there was nothing else to sort of decide between. I didn't mention most steps closest to or anything like that. So we've been asking the question. Martin asked the question initially, and Joe again, because just the way he was answering things, didn't fully answer the question. All I wanted to know was, right, that's the priority first. Between the 2, what do you pick? If if I only had 1 hit to deal out, what do I pick? There's nothing in the rules that say, after you've picked intense circles. So we just assume player choice. So if I was to pick that, it would be my choice. However, we've got 7 hits to deal out, so more than likely 2 of them are taking a hit. But I suppose I should look and just get the other 5. Well, if we can pick 5, because again, there's yellow there, but we are in it. So, however, there's yellow up there. Right, I'll not burden you with going through it all. I'll show you them when I spot them. Okay, this is the only one in this area that's intense. However, that's reminded me of another thing that Martin brought up. I don't know if I've missed some of his comments in, because he reckons that when it says that LVTs are removed from the game at the end of game turn 4, that means LVTAs as well. Now, I hadn't really considered that, but he could be right. And another frustration, again, I seem to recall commenting back to him, but in my frustration of, you know, if you're going to call things LVTs, LVTAs and tanks, and explain it properly, you know, like all this carry on we've had about what LVTs can do and LVTAs and what tanks can do, and then you get something like that at the end of the game turn. And he's right, you could read it either way. I'm going to literally stick with my guns and say that it's LVTs, right, Martin? And I'm not saying that you're wrong. Again, this is something else that we need to ask. However, this still would have been here game turn 4 anyway, if it's not the case. I don't know if there's any point chucking that question out there, maybe. You know, we're still waiting on Joe coming back, but that's not one of the questions we've asked. But there's going to be more coming along, and you want to move on with the game. So the only thing is that it's really only Joe that's answered. Martin's answered some based on how he's thinking of the rules, probably, and sometimes he does have a more clear understanding of the rules. So, and then I think there was a play test. One of the play testers answered a couple as well. So I could maybe hope that he might come along and answer it. Then again, it might be a simple one for Joe to just say. I mean, you would think it'd be simple. You would think that the designer would know when he said that LVTs are removed at the end of game turn 4, if it means just LVTs or LVTs and LVTAs. So, anyway, that's a target for the artillery fire, anyway. So, and that was only one in that area. So let me find another. We still need an R4. Right, this is an X1 that fires. There's no circle. Oh, it doesn't come across, does it? No. There's no circles in this area. Sorry, no, I'm lying. There's one here. There's not one in this stack, which is the one with the hero, and that is intense as well. So, again, though, we might have to come back and revisit that. However, I've just realised that I've got to watch. Wait now, we're also wanting to target beach hexes, aren't we? Or beach or adjacent. Well, the two down are beaches. This one is not. It's not even adjacent though, is it? So does it have to be, or again, is that a priority? Yeah, I think that's the first priority, isn't it? Because these attacks are chosen according to the priority listed below. The unit must be in a field of fire up a position that matches the fire cover on the artillery fire card. And again, it doesn't matter if the unit's disrupted. During game turns 1 through 4, the unit is in or adjacent to a beach hex. So actually, that takes priority over if it was intense fire, I would think. So see if we had a circle here, an intense, that's not adjacent to a beach hex, and this was a circle in steady, which was adjacent to a beach hex, my reading of that would say that this unit would take the priority. So I think I've got to take that away then, because there could well be, is yellow fire into here? No, it doesn't. But there could well be a steady, the yellow fire's into there, for instance. It's steady fire, and it's adjacent to a beach hex. So is there a circle in here? Yeah, see? So there's an example there. There's a circle in here which is steady field of fire. And there's a circle in here that's intense field of fire. However, the first real priority to look at is it in or adjacent to a beach hex, where this is and this is not. So I'm going to take that off. I'm not going to mark this just yet, because I'm not quite sure we are going to get 7 this time that are. Yeah, and then the other thing, what I was starting to say there was, I need to watch that none of these units have actually landed this turn, because we've done the landing, haven't we? But it was only, I want to say it was only these. It wasn't that guy anyway. They landed the previous turn, didn't they? So I think we can mark this guy because he's in a beach hex. He's a circle. He's an intense yellow from that. Okay. Yeah, because they 29th Battalion units are marked on the reinforcement list on game turn 3. So they would have actually landed on game turn 4. No, hang on. No, they would have landed on game turn 3, Grant. Yeah. Yeah, the ones that have landed are 2nd Battalion. No, it's the 1st and 2nd Battalion of 2nd Regiment that have landed. That's right. 1st and 2nd Battalion of 2nd. Yeah, and we got, these are the 2nd Battalion. So I can't look at any of these because these haven't landed yet because we're rewinding. And I can't look at these. However, it doesn't look like we're going to be looking at these. And that guy is from the 29th, so he's okay. Yeah. That's fine. Right, let's see if we can find some more. Yeah, so this was the next one here I was looking at, and this is an intense. This, again, it's an LVTA, where it should be, well, whether it should be here or not. So it's an intense, but again, it's not adjacent to beat checks. That one is an intense, but not a circle, but also not adjacent. That's a circle, but it's not in yellow field of fire. So, I'm not sure. Again, stick with your priorities just now, Grant. But I think we're going to have to certainly revisit something here, because that's only 3 we've got, and I think yellow up here is not. Oh, hang on, I'll get that guy. He's just been sitting there, just taking a beating, isn't it? So yeah, it's going to get that. He is in a beat check, so I believe that's going to be our 2nd loss, isn't it? Because he's only got 1 step. Does yellow get into there? No. Right, my understanding is that that's the only 4 targets that I can pick that are an intense yellow, in or adjacent to beach hexes. Sorry, in intense yellow, have a circle, and are in or adjacent to beach hexes. That's 4. So, our next priority, what is it going to be then, Grant? Right, okay, I was just thinking about that. So our next priority should be and I'm saying it the wrong way. It should be in or adjacent to a beach hex, in intense fire, then the circle. Right, so that's what we've got just now. We've got 4 targets. So then we've got to go in or adjacent to a beach hex, in intense fire, not a circle. So that's what we need to look for next. Right, so let me do that. Yeah, and just before I started that, I then reminded myself that well, hang on, Grant. The player may disrupt 2 units in the hex. So one unit in the hex suffers 1 step loss, or the player may disrupt 2 units in the hex. Yeah, I think I just bypassed that the last time and never considered it, did I? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to bother looking at that either. Whether that is something that you should seriously consider, it possibly is. It's just like, it's too much for me to try and deal with. Yeah, I'm looking at the 2 bullets at the end here. This is page 13, 6.5.3. Inflicting artillery step losses and disruptions. No unit can take a 2nd loss in the same action. Hits are spread out evenly among eligible hexes. Ooh, and the next one. A US tank unit can be disrupted in lieu of a step loss if no other unit in the hex has a matching target symbol. Okay, something to keep in mind. Yeah, because I was going to start looking through this hex to see if there's because there'll be other targets, because this is an intense. However, we need to satisfy spread the hexes, if you like. So this is an intense but doesn't have the symbol. So yeah, I kind of need to mark these slightly differently, sort of, because yeah. So that's a hit, that's a hit. I probably don't need to do that, to be honest. Okay, well, I'll do it like that so we know that there's a slight difference. Right, and then the next one is here, isn't it? Yeah, because, sorry, that one is adjacent to beach hexes as well. Remember, that's our thing at the moment. So that's steady, that's intense. Well, we've visited this one already. This is intense, that's not. There's nothing. This is intense, yeah. But again, it's not adjacent to beach hex, Grant. So that's steady. Yeah, we're going to have to come back and visit the steadies then if that's the case. So there's nothing an intense yellow there that we can really look at. Okay, right, what be here then? Must be something else here, right? That's intense adjacent to beach. Sadly, that's headquarters. However, we might be able to find better targets. That is, and is the one next to it? I don't think it is actually. No. That's in a beach hex, that's adjacent. Doesn't go up to there, no. We've already targeted that. So the moment, well, that's 6 target. Oh no, that is actually 7. Right, let me double check for some others before we stop there. Yeah, this yellow just doesn't work. It's one of the inland ones, so it only hits here and here. And these hexes that aren't adjacent. And then there's nothing else up there, is there? Well, that's a score 7. The bad thing about that is it means this is getting a hit. But what can you do? And now is it just a hit or is it hit and disruption? Unit in the hex suffers 1 stat loss, or the player may disrupt 2 units in the hex. I suppose I could have a glance at that, and then you've got the tank thing. Oh, yeah. Then the important rule that I tend to skip. I tend to not read. Well, I do read them, but it just feels like, I don't know. I don't know. That's probably me. And how can I argue about something when it says it in red and it says important? If any US unit in that hex has a target symbol matching the artillery fire card, that unit must take the first hit and is also disrupted. So yeah, that's kind of there. That's the bit that tells you that that's a priority is a circle, because it says it has to take the first hit. And is also disrupted. So the circles will be disrupted. The other ones were not. Right, okay, let's deal with this now. Well, this guy's gone, isn't he? He's gone. He only had 1 stat loss left. So he is our second loss, both for the 2nd Marine Division and the catastrophic loss box or whatever. Oh, one other thing, when I was looking over our victory conditions, and I hadn't really looked at, hang on, right, sorry, got called away there in the middle of things again, not sure where I was at. I know we had removed that unit, that was one of our hits. Well, our 7 hits are on the board, aren't they? Yeah, I just quickly had a look just before I came back there about Martin's comment regarding LVTAs being removed. He thinks they should, but again, it's one of the ones that we should ask the question. Well, I popped a question out there on BGG, just in the hope that Joe might pass that one by and sort of say, you know, it's a simple yes or no answer, I think. So we might catch him giving us that one back, because, well, I kind of like to know, because, yeah, if I'm going to move on. The other half of that comment that Martin had made was also regarding the terrain situation. Yeah, just about the whole terrain issue, and so I'm glad that he did mention this, because I felt like it might just been me that was like getting baffled by a lot of the terrain movement and my comment on, I think it was my comment on this that was like, what does this actually mean? It's just got a dash. It's like, I'm not so sure. Like, I don't know what that means. I mean, it's just buildings terrain, so you think units could move through it, leg units, but the dash, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, he reckons there could be quite a few questions compiled to try and work all that out. So glad to know that was not just me anyway. Right, let's get back to this. So again, we're prioritising these. So this one's going to take a hit and be disrupted. Okay, so he's going to go down the bottom with a step loss. That's right, isn't it? And be disrupted. So he's down to one step. I'll sort that out. Okay, and then we've got these two. It's not that guy. Obviously, we're looking for the circle first. So it's him, who was disrupted already anyway. Yeah, now here was a case where we could choose to disrupt. Well, I'm assuming, I must say 2 other units, surely. Well, it doesn't actually. Our situation here, right, here's the situation. We've got this, that's disrupted, and then we've got this on top, right? I'll just leave that to the side, just in case I do get dragged away and move that counter. So that's the situation. So it says inflicting artillery step losses and disruptions. When a US unit is the target of artillery fire, the following results are possible. If the target hex is an intense field of fire, a concentrated or overstacked hex is always an intense field of fire. So yes, this is an intense field of fire. One unit in the hex suffers 1 step loss, or the player may disrupt 2 units in the hex. And then the important note is, if any US unit in that hex has a target symbol matching the artillery fire card, that unit must take the first hit and is also disrupted. What I'm trying to see if I could achieve here is I choose to disrupt these 2 units to avoid taking the step loss. Now, it sounds like a bit of a, that shouldn't be allowed, you would think. But if it hadn't been for the important note, 1 unit in hex suffers 1 step loss, right? Or the player may disrupt 2 units in the hex. Now, you might say, well, they're already disrupted. Well, it's not. I don't know. I think you see what I'm saying there. Maybe they need to be undisrupted. It doesn't really state in there. Now, where does it talk that way elsewhere? It's in a similar situation, isn't it? Give me a sec. Yeah, it's this part here. This is on page 12. 6.34, step loss due to Japanese fire. A US unit hit by, I mean, this isn't what we're talking about. This is Japanese fire, but I'm just using this as a comparison to sort of see how it's worded. US unit hit by fire may suffer a 1 step loss as noted on the Japanese fire chart. Right, so here's an important bit. The player may choose to disrupt 2 units in the target hex. Well, actually, it's just over the page here. What was the word on? The player may disrupt 2 units in the hex. So that's pretty much worded the same, isn't it? So the player may choose to disrupt 2 units in the target hex and instead of taking a step loss, if no unit in that hex is the same fire symbol as a drawn fire card. Okay, so like I said, this is different. This is Japanese fire. If we had the circle firing for Japanese fire and we had a circle, we would not be able to choose this. Does that tend to lead me to think that because we are having to target a circle in that hex, that we can maybe not do this too? Not so clear, but maybe. Anyway, let's read on, because the next bit's the important bit, really. It says units that are not disrupted must be chosen prior to any units that are already disrupted. So what I'm reading from that is, in the situation that I'm trying to dodge my way out of here, that if this was normal Japanese fire, right, okay, well, listen, if it was normal Japanese fire, there's a circle in there, so it would hit that. We would not be able to disrupt 2 units. Let's just say this was normal Japanese fire, and it didn't have the symbol in here, and we had this situation. We would be able to disrupt 2 units to avoid taking the step loss. Now, it says there that you need to disrupt undisrupted units before disrupted, so I would need to disrupt this as one of my units, but then I could choose one of these to be disrupted. Now, let's just say that wasn't there in the hex in the same situation. We've got 2 units that are disrupted in this hex. Intense, it's intense yellow that's firing. We do not, let's just say it's an intense, it's a yellow diamond, right, that's firing into here. We could choose to disrupt these 2 units that are already disrupted anyway to avoid taking that step loss, I think. Which is a interesting one. But, I mean, well, let's move back to the artillery part and let me show you. There's what I've been reading out regarding what we're looking at. If the target hex is an intense field of fire, 1 unit in the hex suffers 1 step loss, or the player may disrupt 2 units in the hex. That could tend to tell me that, and it's not even saying that if I disrupt 2, I've got to target undisrupted units before disrupted units. It's not saying it there. However, the important rule might sort of cover its back slightly, because it says if any US unit in that hex has a target symbol, which is what we've got matching the artillery fire card, that unit must take the first hit and is also disrupted. I don't know. Tell me what you think of that. Does that, I mean, I know I've got to look at that circle, but it does say that must take the hit. But could step B of that enable me to disrupt instead of it taking the hit? I don't think so. I think the fact that important note kind of says that way tells me that I've got to take that hit. However, again, and I was just looking out there to see if any of the light blue cubes had any disrupted units, but it doesn't look like they do. However, hang on though, when it's... No, they're in intense fire, so they're still taking step losses. Let me just say... Let's say that this was a light blue cube on this, so this was an intense yellow, right? But it didn't have the symbol. Then I reckon I could say I'm disrupting these 2 units to avoid that step loss, and that would cover it. Now, part of me thinks that that this should get disrupted and one of them should be the target of the second disruption, but it doesn't really state that. Okay, but because of that important note, I'm going to say that this guy is taking a hit and a step loss. But let me know what you think about all that, because I could see that being... Alright, we don't need a disrupted marker, right? We need a step loss marker. I could see the possibility of maybe kind of a wee loophole where you could get away with that there, but I could be wrong. It looks like one of the ones that it could be that I'm reading in my way, you know, as I do from time to time. Right, so he's taking a step loss. He was already in there. They were both disrupted anyway, and that goes back on top. Right, and that's us taking our third hit or second hit? Third. Right, okay, so the next one's just nearby. Right, let's have a look in there. Okay, so there we'll just remember this guy, he's just in the water. He's not. But these are on the hex. This is disrupted, these are not. So that's what we've got in the hex. There's a circle in there, which is already disrupted. Again, I'm not sure, because of that important note, if any US unit in that hex has a target symbol matching the artillery fire card, that unit must take the first hit and is also disrupted. However, can I decide to disrupt this and disrupt this, shall we say, to avoid taking that hit? or for that matter, could I choose to disrupt this and this itself to avoid taking that hit? I don't think so. I'm not, well, the first one, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can do that. I kind of think I could disrupt these 2 units to avoid taking that hit. Anyway, we're not going to do that. We're going to take the hit on this. We're going to disrupt it. It's already disrupted. So it's going to flip over and lose its step loss marker. And it's going to go back in there. It's taken another hit and it's disrupted. But yeah, again, let me know what you think about all this. Because I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so the 3 other hits that we've got left, I might as well just stick with this one down here. These are in intense yellow still, but they don't have the symbol, okay? So that's what we've got in the hex. Headquarters, a full infantry company, and this guy's taking a step loss. Now this time, these will not, it's just a straight up step loss. This is, the important note does not come into this because we've not got the symbol, so they won't get disrupted. That's my belief. Yeah, no, I asked that question as well and got confirmation of that. So even though they're in intense, they don't have the circle, so they'll just take the step loss. So this is a case where we definitely could disrupt 2 units if we wanted to avoid taking that step loss. But I don't think I want to do that, do I? This is a strong hex, isn't it? But we kind of want that's 224 though. This would be 124. I think I'm just going to take the step loss on this guy, I think. Yeah. So he flips and loses his... do that. But like I say, he does not become disrupted because there was no symbol. Okay, right, 2 to go. So we're up here, so I'll have a look at this one first. Okay, so there's what we've got. It's this hex here. Here's what we've got. This is not good, is it? I'm pretty sure we're going to have to take the step loss on that because we've only got 1 step HQ unit. We've got this guy that's the hero who's got a step loss already. I think I'd rather keep him the way he is. Yeah. Again, this is a situation where we could take 2 disruptions, but is that maybe tempting this time? Could it be tempting to disrupt that and that, maybe? Well, one of the purposes of putting the hero on this guy was so that we would have the weapons to be able to attack this. Now, it isn't, he would, so it is getting half their strength. So we'd have a strength of 5. And bearing in mind, we've got the Japanese fire phase to come before we get to... And he's sitting in red, yellow, blue and brown. No, really? Oh dear. Yeah. It looks kind of unlikely that we're going to avoid... Well, we can't avoid all 4 colours because there's only 6 colours and 3 have got to come up. So it's more than likely something's going to take a hit there. However, if we... Well, yeah, it depends what symbol comes up though. Again, I mean, if we draw a diamond on the card, then we've got to target that. Then it's going to get disrupted. Right, okay, Grant, if you had the 5 strength, if you managed to miraculously get through it all... To be honest, I probably could get through it all, because there's other intense hexes that it might hit, but it would depend on the symbol. If we don't draw a diamond on the card, then we're maybe right. So 5 against 2, but it'd be cut in half. 5 cut in half is 2.5, but it's rounded up to 3, so we'd have 3 against 2. So we'd have 1-1, and we'd have the weapons because we could use the hero, which is the NCO hero. So what would it be? It'd just be 1-1, or would it be 3-2? I don't know. Again, that's these sums that I need to work out. If it was 1-1, no, that's bad. What are we? Yeah, that's not any good, is it? 1-1, we've got the weapons. Yeah, we need more strength. We need more than that. We need at least 2-1 with the weapons. And it's 3-1 with the weapons to get the eliminated result. Yeah, so I don't know what I'm thinking about there. So we need support from something. Which kind of tells you that you want these guys on the go as well, don't you? But we've got to take a step well somewhere. So I suppose I have to take on that guy then. So that's going to drop his strength to 2 though, isn't it? Yeah, well, so be it. Right, okay. We still got a machine gun. That's pretty good. Okay, so that's heck. So no disruption again. We took the step loss on that guy. No, sorry, the step loss goes underneath, isn't it? And then this guy's got a step loss and a hero. And then let me just try and show that hero there. Okay, that's it. So one more. Yeah, well, there's nothing to think about there. Well, no choice there. He's got to take a hit. Yeah, no disruption though. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but please let me know your thoughts on that whole disrupting 2 units bit. Okay, I've got myself an hour and 2 minutes there, and all I've done is blethered on a bit and then done that artillery phase that I'd missed. Here was me hoping to sit down and do the HQ phase. Right, I'm hoping to get back to today and do that, because obviously that's something new that we've not done yet. Not so sure we're going to be able to do an awful lot with it. Although I was reading more into that, replacements and reserves, and I've got an understanding of that. However, this assigned tank and engineer units to US battalions, again, I suppose that's why I was putting things off a little bit as well, because I've not got a clue, or we've not got a clue what that means or what it entails, like what you do. Okay, so I'll wrap this one up just now. I know it's not an awful lot for you to look at there, was there? Yeah, I'll maybe put a comment in the header. Maybe not. I know you probably got used to some of the videos being the way they are, and just probably quickly move through them and try and find an interesting bit. But it's still just me playing the game as I would be doing it off camera, you know. This is what I would do, so yeah. Okay, I'll be back at some point. Cheers, guys.